How does a respected judge end up face down on hot asphalt all because of one reckless cop? It's strange how one small decision, one random, ordinary choice can flip your whole life upside down. That's exactly what happened one Thursday evening in Modesto, California. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just a man pulling into a parking lot for a coffee. Judge Malcolm Bryant had just finished a grueling 12-hour day at the San Joaquin County Courthouse. Tired, hungry, and in desperate need of a little quiet, he headed to a small corner cafe he loved, a spot called Ruby's Brew tucked neatly off McHenry Avenue. The kind of place where the barista knew your order and held the door for strangers. It was the definition of normal. Just a few blocks away, though, a police call crackled through the radio waves. Suspect matching description, male, dark jacket, dark pants, last seen fleeing south. Nothing about Malcolm fit the description except that he was a black man wearing a navy blue blazer and slacks. That detail alone would be enough to ignite a nightmare. At that same moment, Officer Ryan Keller was speeding down the street. 27 years old, relatively new to the force, and burning with the need to prove himself. His file already had warnings about his aggressive tactics, but in his head, he was just doing his job, keeping the streets safe, protecting the people. At least, that's how he saw it. Malcolm didn't notice the cruiser sliding into the lot behind him. He was too busy debating whether he wanted a blueberry muffin or if he should just stick to a simple latte. Within minutes, that peaceful decision would leave him face down on the asphalt, a knee in his back, with the entire scene captured on half a dozen smartphones. But the takedown wasn't what truly set the situation ablaze. What escalated things was the moment the crowd realized who Officer Keller had cuffed. The air smelled of coffee grounds and exhaust as Malcolm stepped out of his Silver Explorer. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting the streets of Central California in a dusty orange glow. Families bustled around him. Kids ran. Teenagers joked outside the frozen yogurt shop. A woman juggled her toddler and car keys. Everyday life. Malcolm took a long breath, loosened his tie, and cracked his knuckles. His back ached from the long day of hearings, evictions, custody battles, criminal cases that weighed heavy on his soul. Sometimes being a judge felt like carrying the weight of the world. But this evening he wanted none of that. He just wanted to feel human again, if only for the time it would take to drink his coffee. He didn't notice the police cruiser creeping behind him. Didn't notice the officer's hand twitching at his belt, eager, ready? Malcolm's eyes were on the small chalkboard menu outside Ruby's Brew. Pumpkin spice special. Limited time only. He chuckled to himself. Pumpkin spice already, he muttered. Inside the cafe, the warmth of cinnamon and roasted beans waited. Polaroids of customers lined the walls, worn couches dotted the corners. Malcolm reached for the door, ready to step inside, when a sharp voice barked from behind him. Hands where I can see them. Malcolm turned, confused. Was someone getting mugged? He looked around, expecting to see some kind of commotion. But the officer's glare was locked on him. Excuse me, Malcolm asked, his voice calm but questioning. Hands up now. Keller yelled again, his tone louder, harsher. Heads turned. A man in a Dodgers cap fumbled for his phone. A teenager nudged her friend, whispering urgently. Years of courtroom experience kicked in. Malcolm raised his hands slowly, palms out. His eyes locked onto the officer's face, noting the rigid jaw, the twitch at the corner of his eye. Fear wearing the mask of authority. I'm Judge Malcolm Bryant, Malcolm said steadily, not confrontational. I'm not armed. I'm reaching for my wallet. Don't move, Keller roared, already closing the distance. Malcolm froze. One solid thump of his heart told him this wasn't going to be a conversation. It wasn't even going to be a misunderstanding. It was going to be a mess. Keller lunged, grabbing Malcolm and slamming him against the cruiser's hood. The cold bite of the handcuffs snapped around his wrists. The crowd drew closer, voices rising. Hey, what's going on? A woman shouted, phone held high, recording. Back up, ma'am, Keller snapped without turning his head. His knee pressed harder into Malcolm's back. The heat from the hood burned against Malcolm's skin. I told you I'm a judge, Malcolm said again, his voice firmer now. My ID is in my wallet. Check it. Keller didn't check. He didn't radio it in. His focus was fixed on dominance, on control. The wallet lay on the ground, ignored. The crowd thickened. Two teenagers whispered, one filming, the other wide-eyed. That's Judge Bryant. My mom says he's the only fair one left at the courthouse. Inside Ruby's Brew, the barista, a young woman named Lucy Campos, pressed her hands against the window, eyes wide in disbelief. She knew Malcolm. He'd been coming there for years. Always polite, always patient. "Officer," someone else called out, an older man in a mechanic's jumpsuit. "That's Judge Malcolm Bryant. You got the wrong man." Keller's jaw clenched tighter. "You people need to back off. This man matches the description of an armed suspect. We're handling it." Malcolm turned his head, struggling to make eye contact. "You're handling it wrong," he said quietly. It wasn't the words that rattled Keller. It was the tone, steady, controlled, certain. It made him feel exposed. Another cruiser screeched into the lot. Sergeant Maria Delgado jumped out, her expression tight, assessing the scene. "Keller, what's the situation?" she demanded. "Suspect matching description. Black male, dark jacket, dark pants, mid-50s. Keller fired back. Delgado's eyes swept over Malcolm's face, then down to the wallet on the ground. She bent, picked it up, flipped it open and froze. "Oh, Jesus," she breathed. She turned on Keller sharply. "Get those cuffs off him. Now." Keller hesitated. "But now, Officer Keller." Delgado's voice cut through the rising noise like a blade. Keller's fingers fumbled at the cuffs. Malcolm stood slowly as they clicked open, his wrists raw and red. He didn't shout, didn't lash out. He simply looked at Keller with the quiet disappointment that hurts worse than any anger. Delgado pulled Malcolm aside, voice low. "Judge Bryant, I'm so sorry." Two don't even know what to say. Malcolm nodded once, lips tight. "Control your officers better, Sergeant." The videos were already on social media before Delgado could blink. Across town, across the state, the footage caught fire. By the time the sun fully set, Modesto wasn't just another city. It was a headline. The rest of the story continued to unfold as that single moment sparked outrage, investigations, and calls for justice. But for Malcolm, the fight was only just beginning. How does a respected judge end up face down on hot asphalt, all because of one reckless cop? It's strange how one small decision, one random, ordinary choice can flip your whole life upside down. That's exactly what happened one Thursday evening in Modesto, California. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just a man pulling into a parking lot for a coffee. Judge Malcolm Bryant had just finished a grueling 12-hour day at the San Joaquin County Courthouse. Tired, hungry, and in desperate need of a little quiet, he headed to a small corner cafe he loved, a spot called Ruby's Brew, tucked neatly off McHenry Avenue. The kind of place where the barista knew your order and held the door for strangers. It was the definition of normal. Just a few blocks away, though, a police call crackled through the radio waves. Suspect matching description, male, dark jacket, dark pants, last seen fleeing south. Nothing about Malcolm fit the description except that he was a black man wearing a navy blue blazer and slacks.